Welcome to the Toffee Blues, your source for all things Everton, and welcome to the extra time segment for Everton 3, Southampton 1, the opening day of the Premier League season, and Everton are off to a winning start. It's exactly what we wanted, and not what everyone was expecting necessarily. I certainly haven't been too optimistic of late if you've been watching this channel, but I was very, very pleasantly surprised by what I saw, particularly in the second half. I'm joined by Owen and Connor. We'll get straight into it. We'll start with you, Connor. What did you make of that performance on Saturday?
I was similar to you. In the past, I've been quite cautious of getting excited for the season. I thought it was going to be, I had this quite a negative mindset, but it answered a lot of questions. The first half, I think, other than Michael Keane's goal, I think we were all right. We just, I think we were just okay. I don't think we got the right players involved enough. But in the second half, it was really exciting to watch and really enjoyable as well. It's been a while since I've been able to watch Everton, so it was enjoyable to watch. It was direct, it was attacking. I really enjoyed it.
Yeah, it was a really, that's probably the best I've seen us play that second half. Certainly about half a season last year. I think it's been the last time I saw us knock the ball around well. Owen, what was your take on the performance?
Well, first of all, I hope everyone's had a nice summer. I've not been on for a while. So I hope everyone's had a nice summer and enjoyed the frills and spills of Everton, the viewers included.
I'll use the word nice very
loosely. Yeah, well, I haven't been on, but I've been very down on the club this summer because I just feel like in every kind of department we've downgraded, but that doesn't matter. On Saturday, I thought we played really well. It was nice to see the fans back, I think. It was good to be back at Goodison, just to enjoy the feel of just being back there, and the performance was very good. I thought first half we stayed in the game, especially when they scored. We made a terrible mistake. Michael Keane should have just cleared the ball off the pitch, but unfortunately, I think it was Che Adams took it and then got it through to Armstrong, and we conceded the first goal, which is disappointing because you never want to concede the first goal because most of the time Everton struggled to come back from when they conceded the first goal. But wherever was said at half time, Rafa Benitez certainly got the team fired up at the second half, and we had to show a reaction. We created enough chances in the end to win the game. I think Toffee was fantastic. I think regular listeners will know I've been a long-term fan of Toffee, and I think, again, on Saturday, he proved his worth for me. I think he's been an unbelievable player. He's been he's been brilliant, and he won us the game, and then Dom added the third, and then I thought after the sort of quick start of the second half and to go and win the game, we didn't do that stupid thing where we let a couple of goals in, and that was it. And then we dropped 2 points. I thought our shape and our sort of discipline the last sort of 20 minutes was really good to see the game out, not to make any silly mistakes. They only had 6 shots in the whole game, which we've limited them to really little. Considering as well, we conceded the first goal and their tails were up after that. I think even in their best spells, they didn't really create much, and I think that was down to how sort of good we were off the ball. I thought we were really compact, especially when I can see from the Gladys Street. Even in the first half, when we were on the back foot because they'd scored and what have you, I still think we kept in the game really well. And then second half we came out and won the game. So I was really pleased with the performance, the attitudes of the players, and I think that's been lacking or very little in the last couple of years. That the reaction, the fire to go back, get back and win a game. So I was really pleased with that, and I thought it was a good experience to get back to a Goodison match with a good performance.
Yeah, it was definitely I think I was pleasantly surprised by, obviously I think Benitez's teams are always well drilled defensively, but I think we said there was a real cohesion in the attack, which we definitely didn't have last season.
No, I think that comes with some natural width as well. I think I bemoaned a lot last season the lack of attacking options we had. Because if James Rodriguez wasn't fit, we didn't really have anyone else who could impact the game. I think whilst Andros Townsend and Damari Gray are more functional players. They're not hammers in terms of on the ball technically. They're nowhere near as good as that. They're very functional. But when you need to sort of put a team under the cosh in terms to get a result, I think they were both really useful because Townsend's got a really nice delivery on him. And Gray's really good 1v1, sort of taking people on. And I think that sort of got the crowd up, the mix of getting the ball in the box quickly and taking people on. I think that really helped us sort of put them on the back foot in the second half. So that sort of raw sort of ability to push a team back is something they really have. And I think natural with 4-4-2, getting in the box sort of helped us really. It matched them up because they were playing a 4-4-2 as well. So it was you don't really see that a lot, 2 4-4-2s playing against one each other in the Premier League, but really enjoyed to see. And yeah, it was really good. I really liked the setup of the team.
Yeah, I do like a 4-4-2, and like you say, I think that you nailed it with those two. Like you say, those two sort of facets of our game was, one and 1v1 dribbling and early crossing. The two things that I was desperate for us to see more of this season. We didn't do either of those last season. We
didn't have the players though, James, and I think that was the issue. I think Alex Iwobi came on and did well, and Bernard, but they're more neat players. They like to pick up the ball centrally and sort of drive it and play through the lines and sort of invite people on and that and create link up with the fullbacks. I think what you've got with Townsend and Gray is more directness. So they're willing to take it and run and put it in the box. I think obviously Townsend played at Crystal Palace where previously they were putting a lot of crosses in for Benteke. So he kind of understands that kind of way of playing because he's played in the 4-4-2 when he was at Palace. And Gray as well, I think he signed for less than a 4-4-2 and his remit was very much the same, to stay wide and take people on. I think it sounded kind of basic, but it was really effective, I thought, Saturday. And I really liked how quickly we moved through the pitch in terms of not sort of taking 15 passes to go your own half when you can do it in one long pass from the start from Pickford. And we've got two strikers up front who are powerful and effective when you get the ball to them. So I look forward to getting the ball forward quickly a lot this season because, like I said, I think you play to your strengths, and our strengths are our centre forwards, releasing them early, and especially when teams like Southampton come and play a high line, throwing the ball over the top is no bad way to play.
Definitely not. And I think the more pace you get in the team, the more you can do that. Like I say, Damari Gray, I think we need more players of that ilk in this team, more wingers, strikers as well. Maybe we need to have more pace, and I think Gray at least is a start in terms of improving the overall average sprint speed in this team. Because my God, we've got the likes of Andre Gomez and players who are running.
Forgot about it. Yeah, I don't even think Andros Townsend is particularly slow. I think he's a really useful addition, Townsend. I think I haven't sort of been on to give me thoughts on Townsend, but that was a sign that I was really pleased with because I think he was really useful for Crystal Palace in terms of they have really big, strong centre forwards, and he regularly sort of nicked them games by good crossing into them. I think that's one thing we lacked, especially at home last season, when we were trying to break a team down. We weren't good enough to do so.
And
our only, that's what I mean. But our only crossing outlet was Dean, so we were just getting the ball to Dean and throwing in the box. Whereas I think when you've got Townsend to do as well, at least you've got two players to worry about. The more good crosses you put in your team, especially when you've got Calvert-Lewin and Richarlison who are good aerially. I think you've just got to utilise your strengths, and that's why I want a right back as well, who's also good at throwing crosses in. Because, I mean, when we haven't got with how Tam is, there really isn't that sort of technical brilliance in the team.
Quality service.
There isn't, but people throw Iwobi at me, but I don't think I think he's about 20 levels below James personally in terms of that, but when you've got good wingers who can put the ball in the box, I think that really helps you. And I think the more the more of them we bring in, the better, because I think we'll score a lot of goals this season through crosses. And that's why we brought in, I don't know, a right back who's good at crossing, or Dwight McNeil, for example.
You've mentioned McNeil. Well, you mentioned Trippier, haven't you? I think on a few occasions yourself, you'd love him.
Well, I really like Trippier. I don't know about paying big money for him or anything because of his age, and I think we really can't afford to spend much money now without getting resale value for players. But if there could be a deal to be done where we could get him in, I don't know. Say if Moise Keane went the other way or something, we could get him. I would consider that, because he's really good at everything we need. He's good defensively, which is important for the manager. And he's good going forwards, and he's put a good ball in the box. I mean, I know people want younger players, and I understand that, but I think Kieran Trippier, I think, is a really good player, and I would like to see him around. I wouldn't expect him to come in, and I don't think that's going to be a possibility for us. But if you bring players of his ilk in, and obviously bring Dwight McNeil in, for example, then you really are improving the creativity in your team without changing too much in terms of how we play. Because I think with Trippier and McNeil, the Atletico like to sort of test teams aerially, and Burnley, we've got two centre forwards like us, so they'll be doing the same. It really is sort of, I don't know, I feel like the good fit to be bring them in. But like I said, there's a long way to go in the window, and we probably have to sell a few before we can bring any in. But I think good crossing is what this team could be built on this season. And I think it's what Everton been in the past with Baines and Pienaar and all that. Good crossing into the box. And I think the more we add to that, I think the better we'll get this season, because I just don't see the technical brilliance in the team apart from Hammers, but he's unavailable at the moment, and we don't know if we'll ever see him. So we'll have to find other ways of attacking. And we didn't attack well the second half of last season because we didn't have anything. So I think a good start to improve that would be good crossing.
Yeah, I think for me, I think good Everton sides have always had good wide players, in my opinion, like over the years, whether it's like under Moyes and that, or like obviously the great sides of the 80s as well. There was always good wide players and good crosses into the area for big strikers.
Yeah, I think that's sort of our...
The DNA.
I don't know. I think it's sort of our identity. People talk about we've had no identity. I think Saturday was very much an Everton's performance, and I think at times under Carlo Ancelotti we sort of hit that kind of mark as well when we played 4-4-2 and certain moments when we were difficult and aggressive. But I don't think we've had that nearly enough over the last 10 years where we've been aggressive and difficult. And an Everton team to me is a team that's an absolute nightmare to play against, horrible to play against. And when you come to Goodison and you feel it with the crowd and the team together, they both make it difficult for you. And away from home, that can be negotiated. But I think at home, I think that is how you're going to get results and get the crowd going, is by making it really horrible to play against. And we haven't had that.
Something we haven't really touched on. You mentioned there the 4-4-2 that Carlo Ancelotti employed in his first half of season. And obviously that season ended disastrously and we couldn't stand what we were seeing at times towards the end of that year, but especially after the restart. But you look at the difference now, the entire personnel in the 4-4-2 is different to what Ancelotti had.
I think it's more suited to it.
Yeah, much more suited, because you got, I mean, the Ancelotti midfield four, if you like, was Walcott, Bernard, Gomez, and Schneiderlin. Now you've got two slow centre mids, whereas now you've got Ducouré and Allen, who are much tougher in the tackle, much more aggressive, and make the midfield more of a battle. And then you've got two wingers who are better at crossing than the two I just mentioned in Walcott and Bernard.
Yeah, I feel for Carlo in that sense, because I think that's how he wanted to play in the 4-4-2. But we had very passive midfielders.
Yeah,
and I think now Alan's good on the ball, but it's mostly sort of the four we had on there Saturday, especially second half, were more workmanlike. And I think that's what you need in 4-4-2. Players who
Midfield's
go
about graft.
Yeah, especially when you've got two in there. Most teams play 3. So 4-2-3-1 or 4-3-3 or 3-5-2 or whatever. They sort of pack the midfield out and they play through the pitch in that kind of sense. So they wanted more midfielders. When we play a 2, you're going to have 2 midfielders who work hard. And I think that's all we have. I think Alan works hard and I think Takore works hard. I think what Rafa Benitez will instill in them is that discipline and that sort of tactical understanding of how to sort of be aggressive but also stay compact. And I think that's what he talks about a lot. Benitez is that sort of discipline in aggression, so you can play higher up the pitch, but you still need to stay compact. So when the counter attack comes, you don't sort of get exposed. I think they'll learn that from Rafa Benitez, and I would be very surprised if we sort of veer too far away from a 4-4-2 version or 4-2-3-1 with a split striker this season. And I think that suits us, and I'm looking forward to seeing it.
I think that does work for us, and that in mind, like Connor, what the midfields, like, would you like to see more additions in midfield, Connor, like to sort of help that become a bit more dynamic?
Well, I mean, if we're going to play the 2, then I'd like to see maybe, and like if I was going to be picky, because obviously I don't think it's the position we'd all agree needs the most work, and we should try and aim for the most. I'd like to see maybe some good replacement. Obviously, we've got Shabam in, who I think will be good. But then other than that, I don't see Andre Gomez being a work, like Owen just said, you want workers in midfielders and you want grafters. I don't see Andre Gomez being that much of a grafter there. So maybe another one to go alongside him, because I just think he'll be a bit of a passenger. And that's the last thing I'd want, is someone to get injured and then us put somebody else in who isn't going to work hard, and that be, in 6-8 months where we look back and go, oh, well, that injury really did cost us, because so-and-so didn't fill in the role that they were meant to.
Yeah, you need to have 2 players for every role.
I was trying to think of midfielders we've been linked with, but then I remember one was Sean Longstaff, and I'm not really kind of so bought on that. So
no, I'm not bought on that at all.
He was somehow slower than Schneider when we played Newcastle the other year. So I maybe he's probably a nice fella and a good footballer for Newcastle, but I think that isn't something I would look to pursue.
No, definitely not.
Anguissa, aren't we? Or there's been rumours about Anguissa from Fulham.
Yeah, well, he'd be one.
He's all right. He'd be a good midfield enforcer. I think similar to the sort of James McCarthy, Idrissa Gueye type player, isn't he?
Well, we could have had McCarthy on a free.
Well, he's gone to Celtic, hasn't he? Much to the anger of Celtic fans.
Well, I could have thought of a few who could better for him than Celtic when he's going to have to control the ball all year, but whatever.
But yeah, we do need him. I like those type of players that Everton midfielders have always had to graft. And Ondu are well liked.
I think midfield is a big one for us because of the work that's going to be required in there. One injury to one of the main 2, which will come, and then you throw in Delph and Gomez, and then the intensity level drops off, and Andre Gomez isn't the best without the ball as well, so you'll basically have one in midfield. I know it's only been about 15 minutes into the first pod of the season, and I'm already taking Gomez out, and so people might not appreciate that, but I think the point sort of stands on the midfield that
we need more dynamism.
We need more in there than just the 2, because if one gets an injury, we're toast.
Yeah, we do need to strengthen. I think the midfield is crucial to how we're going to play this season. I think getting those players in, I think Anguissa might be a good example of what we need. There's plenty around of that ilk. You just need to find the honest grafters.
Yeah, it won't be difficult, even if you could get someone for very cheap. I think workman-like midfielders never sort of, well, they might do these days, but you won't be paying an extortionate amount for a workman-like midfielder. And I think even if we just get one for now who's sort of back up to them two, but can come in and there isn't a drop-off too much, then we should be fine. I still think we need another winger and possibly a striker. I'm not really convinced for Keane on it as an Everton striker, but we could possibly do.
Moise Keane isn't convinced about Moise Keane being an Everton striker.
No, I mean he was another one that people were slaughtering that weren't given the game, and now the new manager's come in and he doesn't seem to particularly want him either. So Moise Keane's Moise Keane. I could see us bringing in, and you probably won't like this very much, but I think Everton would probably find someone on a free like Salomon Rondon more useful than Moise Keane this season, just because of his profile.
I haven't really got any beef with Rondon as long as it's like a loan or a low wage.
Well, it'd be free. It'd be a free transfer.
For high wages, you presume, given where he's be signing from.
Well, yeah, but if he was to come, he would be on our terms because he hasn't got a club. So you could if he wanted big wages, you'd just have to say no, wouldn't you? But if we'd so keen, that allowed us to bring in a few here and there, but we needed a backup striker, I wouldn't be adverse to him being our backup striker because I think he's proven in the Premier League before with West Brom and Newcastle that in a team that similar to us, where he played in West Brom and Newcastle, where gets the ball out wide and puts it in the box, and he can be useful. I mean, he wouldn't be if you were giving me £150 million every summer, and you asked me to buy a striker, he wouldn't be someone I'd look at. But when you're having to make sort of ends meet and trying to find someone who can be useful, I think he could possibly be of use for us. But I mean, if we don't sign him, I won't lose any sleep over it. But I think he could be one. I just don't see Moise Keane being here past the deadline. So we will need a backup striker. Because Broadhead's gone to Sunderland, hasn't he?
Yeah, he has.
That he was a knock. He was technically a striker.
Yeah. I think in terms of the game, though, like that sort of tactical setup, you saw how it helped us back into the game in the second half. You know, that directness. We don't come back if you keep playing. When you're losing a game, a tippy-tappy style isn't going to get you back in the game.
A tippy-tappy style doesn't do much good for Everton at all with its current personnel, in my opinion. But
no, and I don't think it does no matter who the personnel. You know, unless you're talking like an entire team of Galacticos, which we'll never have.
Yeah. If you've got Man City's team, it's fine, but they even showed on Sunday that when you can overplay.
When you're getting beat, you can't be playing like that.
I think Benitez in his first interview mentioned this himself. He said, there's plenty of ways to sort of skin a cat. So you can do it in 20 passes or you can do it in 3. So I'd rather do it in 3, he said. But
Everton
we need
fans
to take
in general, mate, I think, I'll be honest, I'll speak for the majority of Everton fans here, guys, when I say most Everton fans wanted what would rather it be done in 3.
Well, yeah, anyone would, but there is the school of thought that we need to be a sort of modern, progressive sort of control possession team that has worked for us so many times in our history that I can't believe that we've become this brilliant Barcelona ex-football team in the last 100 years, and it's never happened. So get that out here.
The only thing is, mate, for me, progressive football is progressing the ball into the goal.
Yeah, I'm getting it up the pitch as quickly as you can with as much quality as you can. That's always been the MO for any team, even Man City. The speed in which they move the ball is really quick. It's only when they play on Sunday, that they were just laborious in how they played. When you're knocking it around your half 100 times like Bournemouth used to do, and then they used to get pinched off you twice and you're 2-0 down after 20 minutes. It's not really effective or good football then, or
it was Roberto Martinez way, wasn't it?
Yeah, I mean, this could have been a very different sort of podcast if he'd come back. Well,
there was rumours.
yeah, there was certainly rumours that I was relishing the prospect of Martinez coming back, but no, I think the idea that we have to sort of have 65% of the ball every week to be exciting or progressive is just nonsense. I think we showed second half that the best way sometimes to score goals and to win games is quick, direct football, and it worked. And I found it very enjoyable watching the 17 crosses that went into their box, and Richarlison, Calvert-Lewin getting shot away. Allen, there was a ball forward in like the second minute. We just turned their defence. It broke, and then Allen just fired it at the keeper. I mean, there's many ways to play football, and I think we played a very good version of football on a Saturday, I thought.
I agree, and I think this, like I say, I've said this on a couple of occasions now. It's the Everton DNA, I think, is to play at pace, be combative, get it out wide, and provide service to good strikers. That's the Everton way.
I know we don't sort of love quoting Jamie Carragher, and sometimes he patches on the head a bit, and it does really annoy me. But he once said when he was, or he even said it the other day on something, that teams sort of follow different models of sort of clubs do a win and stuff when they try and sort of do stuff. So there are clubs who try and play Barcelona's way or a Liverpool way. So when they sort of press high, and they do Bayern Munich, so kind of the German sort of what Klopp does. He said Everton's way should be Atletico Madrid's, for basically two powerful centre forwards and be aggressive and difficult.
That's the Everton way before. That was the Everton way before it was the Atletico Madrid way. When Everton was successful, that's how Everton played.
Yeah, so I'm just saying it because that's how they currently sort of operate. So when people talk about this way or that way, I think Everton has its own sort of way which the fans react to, and I think it was an enjoyable experience Saturday watching us play that way. I think whatever your opinion on the amount of times we hit the ball forward, I think ultimately it worked and we won the game. So we move on. We'll have to play the same way against Leeds because they press like mad. So moving the ball forward quickly against Leeds.
Turn their defenders would be. We've got to turn their defenders.
Yeah, they're similar to Southampton. They both play really high line, so we have to get the ball in behind them very early.
Yeah. With that in mind, Connor, has that sort of changed your mood for the season? I know we've still got a lot of business to be done. I think we need to do some business, but has it lifted your mood a little bit?
Yeah, it certainly it answered some doubts I had. Obviously, it's the first game. When I did the post-match, I got one person coming on that was like, you're all wrong. And I was like, it's the first game of the season, so do take that with a little bit of, pinch of salt. But it certainly changed my mind in some doubts. And if that's how we're going to play for the foreseeable, I think we're going to be in for an enjoyable season, certainly to watch. Like Owen said, it was just a pleasure to watch us attack with some sort of urgency and direction. Too many times last season, I thought we lacked direction is the best way to describe it. Sometimes we're just knocking it about. And like Owen said, it was mainly going through the left-hand side. At least now we're using both sides of the flanks as well. It just adds a bit of variety. And when you've got Richarlison and, Calvert-Lewin up front, it seems almost daft to try and pass it to their feet when you can just aim, aerially, or it doesn't even have to be up in the air, The Calvert-Lewin's goal was quite a low cross that he managed to get his head to. Short, low crosses into the box like that as well. Richarlison can sniff them out. So it certainly adds to some of my doubts. And hopefully, going forward, I'd like to see what we do against bigger teams. That would be the next doubt that I want to see answered, is how we perform against the bigger sides, the Chelseas, the Uniteds. Certainly after the pre-season, I want to see how we do against the Uniteds.
I think that's the answer. Is everyone okay?
Owen's found himself in some sort of echo chamber.
Hello?
There we go.
Is that okay?
Yeah, that is okay.
Yeah, let's just pretend that didn't happen.
There you go, Everton. Whoever's editing this, we're coming back in 3, 2, 1.
Yeah, well, to be honest, I think the answer to that is sort of what Carlo Ancelotti did last season in terms of the big game and how we won them by being very well organised, I thought, and win like Anfield, Arsenal, Chelsea. So many games you can think of where we nicked by the odd goal through being really organised. And I think, okay, that was pre-season. I don't think that was a particularly good example to show what Rafa Benitez will be like in them big games. But I think Benitez will be very similar in terms of how he'll set us up.
I mean, hopefully, I think that's the thing. We've found a blueprint of how to get results against these teams. You know, okay, those away games, it might be more difficult with fans back, but equally home games will be more winnable with fans back. So, you know, there's no reason, particularly the home games against those sides, that you can't go into it and play that way.
But even in the away games, I think there's a big difference between the sort of the approach the likes of Carlo took in them games and Rafa to what used to happen with Moyes. Used to be basically we used to give the games up sometimes because we had no kinds of approach to win them. I think what Benitez is really good at, and I think having watched some of his teams over the years, when he takes a team who aren't as good against a team who are very good, he's very good at boiling the piss of the other team and sort of time wasting, taking 4 years to take a goal kick. That kind of, so taking it to the corner and at half time when they're 1-0 up, that kind of stuff he's very good at. He's very good at managing the game, and his teams don't sort of shit themselves against the bigger teams like Everton, apart from last season, were very well accustomed to doing.
Yeah, and another thing as well, I think, speak about Everton DNA, I think that's another thing about Benitez that the fans would take to is the whole, he does like winding up the opposition and making life a misery for them and like making them not able to play their own game. I think Everton fans like to see us frustrate the opposition.
Yeah, I think that is pretty much it. I think there's a lot Everton fans love winding other clubs up, and I think if we can wind other clubs up by taking it to the corner flag in the 5th minute and doing a Ben Foster and taking 5 years to take a goal kick and time wasting during Z cars, then we'll very much do that. But on Rafa Benitez, I think he got a really warm reception, I would say, before the game on Saturday. I was stood there nervously expecting a not so warm reception, but thankfully he got a warm reception, and for as long as we're winning games, I expect him to get a warm reception because I think he's got a difficult job on his hands. It's a thankless task, I would say, but I think if anyone can stand up and sort of bigger up, it is Rafa Benitez.
Oh, long may it continue, and like hopefully we keep getting like decent results, because you can't doubt results are that's it. You win games, you can't doubt the manager. Doesn't matter who he's managed.
He's got a very big personality, hasn't he? I think you could even see on the touchline Benitez and Ferguson. There was a big presence on our bench that sort of unnerved them, to be honest, because I used to always, when we used to play in derby games against Liverpool, I used to look at Benitez on the bench and used to think, God, he really gets them up for these games, and they don't care how they win them. So it's like I've always admired him from afar in terms of how he operates himself on the touchline, and I think if he brings the good stuff to us, then he'll always get a warm reception from me.
Fingers crossed. Anyway, we'll have to wait and see. Now we've got Leeds up next on Saturday, but before that, you never know. We might get some transfer business done as well. So we'll have to wait and see. Who were
your man at the matches?
What?
Who were both your man at the matches?
Yeah, Connor, you first, mate.
I picked Richarlison just over the Corey because he got a goal and an assist.
I'm biased, so I went to Corey. Who you said?
Yeah, to Corey as well.
Yeah, well, we're both biased because we were huge fans of him last season, weren't we?
I was a huge fan of him, like Stade Rennais, before he even went to Watford.
Yeah. We've always been big on Abdoulaye Doucouré on the podcast, haven't we? So
The Corey Stan account.
People have said, "Oh, I hope we get to see Hammers in the flesh, and I hope he doesn't leave." I was just worried Doucouré was going to leave.
Corey someone off the way.
Yeah, that was it for me to see Doucouré in an Everton shirt and he scores, and I went pretty insane when he scored. Let's just say,
fair play. It was a great performance in the end, and hopefully more of the same coming up. But we'll have to wait and see. That's the end of the extra time segment anyway, guys. Drop us a comment below. Let us know your opinions on Everton's opening day win. Give the video a like and subscribe for more content. And also, of course, with the new season up and running, be sure to get your new Everton merchandise and whatnot. Of course, we've got a link in the description below to Everton Direct. So get on there and get your Everton gear. And in doing so, you help this channel as well. So that's great if you could get involved and get yourself the merchandise and, help Everton Football Club maybe not breach FFP for much longer. We all do our bit. But there you go, guys. Thank you for watching on the Toffee Blues. We'll see you next time.